Welcome to the Roadshow Podcast.
Craig,
Jacob.
how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very, very well. Your presence kind of blew me away the first time I met you. So I'll give everybody the story. You are the owner of this place.
Yep, I am.
And I'm leasing this from you. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you.
It's an amazing facility to thrive in.
Oh, I love what you've done with it. It's it's outrageous.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Shit hanging off the walls. I'm sorry. I'll fix that.
No, don't. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. So when I met you for the first time, we had to sign the lease papers. I came over to your place for the signing, and you gave me a copy of this.
I did.
Your book.
Guilty.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When I started reading it, I was saving it for a bit of alone time, and then when I got through the first chapter, I couldn't put it down.
Okay, well, that's
I
good.
sent you an email, and I said I'm about 100 pages in, and then I think it was like 2 days later, I was like, I'm finished.
Wow.
It was insane. You had me on the cusp of terrified. Is that the word? As like these stories, they play out in such a way where you're just like, what is happening next? I need to know where that goes. And you're constantly cliffhanging the book, and it wants you. It makes me want more all the time.
Great. Good.
How did you take me through the whole idea of how you started and what was the decision to write it?
Look, the genesis of this book goes back like about 11 years. And it was just a story that I had banging around in my head for a long, long time. And I've been writing like a lot of short stories. So a lot of the short stories were part and parcel of, some of the chapters in the book. And as I was going along, and I thought, oh, fuck, I think I could do something else with this. And then, so I started stringing them together. And the reason it took so long to do was because you put all these short stories together, and then you'd loop them, with a storyline between one arc and another arc, and then you had this manuscript. Now, my original manuscript was like 160,000 words, which is a lot.
That's a lot of words.
That book is now 99,000.
Whoa! So it was like double that.
It was almost, yeah. So but this is the thing, you got this old saying that says, killing your darlings and stuff like that when it comes to like editing your book. And I looked at it, and I was doing some research around what makes a good book. And ideally, it's kind of around about 100,000 words. So I thought, fuck, I've got to trim this thing down. That was one of the hardest fucking things I've ever done, because there's like this whole storylines, there's whole characters that have evolved into real people for me, and I just had to chop them out because they weren't serving the main part of the story. So, and you know what? I don't know what I've done with those 60,000 words.
At all?
No, I chopped them and I changed. I lost my iPad that I was using at the time.
Oh, no.
And I don't know where they are. They've gone. I can't find them.
Are they still in your head?
Oh, man. Yeah, look, possibly, but it's 60,000 words.
How did you come to the conclusion that 100,000 words was the sweet spot?
Googled.
Google.
I just Googled, man. I said, what's the ideal kind of number of words, that people don't find too little, don't find too more, and between 90,000 and 100,000.
Okay.
And I think that's 99,000.
It's very well written.
Thanks, man.
How many drafts did you do?
Oh, countless. The last big draft I did was probably about 2 years ago, and I just got sick and tired of doing it in dribs and drabs. I mean, I put that thing down probably a couple of times for about 18 months at a time. You get too much, you get too wound up in it, and you start to lose yourself in it. So I'd put it down. And the last time I put it down for about 18 months, I thought, I have to finish this thing. So I took myself off to Lumbongan.
Okay.
Just talking about that.
Nice.
So I took myself off to Lumbongan for a month. And just...
That's Indonesia for people that don't know.
Yes, yeah. Indonesia. And I just spent a whole month just going through it, re-editing, dropping things, adding things, and all the rest of it. So when I came back from there, I was kind of like 90% there with it. Yeah.
Okay. So take me through the conception. How did you have? Well, I guess "how's" not the right word. Why write it?
Well, Jacob, a lot of the stuff that's in that book are life experiences. They're either things that...
That's fucking terrifying.
I know it is to a degree. So... yeah, so a lot of it is stuff I've either lived myself, has happened to friends of mine, or I've, one or two sort of steps away from the actual event itself. Whoa. So I'd say probably of that book, I'd probably say 60, 70% of it is based on either life experience, either to myself personally or to people that I know.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you if there was any relation between yourself or your family or friends or whatever and the characters in the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and there's I'm never going to sort of completely come clean with what bits are, but there are. I mean, for example, the school that the boys go to is based on a school that I went to, both the primary school and the high school that I went to. Right. The whole section around Stuart and him growing up, and when his mum Sonia and they relocate out to the sort of suburbs, so to speak. Yeah. That's based on where I grew up, right. Which is out in Forestfield Way. Okay. So a lot of that sort of stuff that happened is based on reality. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff, the interaction with the neighbours, all that kind of stuff.
Did you really see the neighbours' titties?
Fucking huge.
That's awesome.
I mean, we didn't have to sit up in the tree for like 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. No, okay. It happened pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. Was the sex club, the Naturalist Club, was that a real place?
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
Was it destroyed by a fire?
No.
Okay, no. That's the gripping part.
No, it wasn't destroyed by a fire.
Right, because that is probably the way you wrote that scene, and spoiler alert, is fucking horrific. It is horrific. The way that you detail the people incinerating is just incredible.
I just did research around that.
Right, so you actually researched about how to kill people with hydrogen?
Yeah. Got some in my boot.
Yeah, right. Okay. Does it get you high? No. So, work me through it. So, you're researching ways to kill people in a fantasy.
Yeah, pretty much. I just had this image that I thought would be really cool. About these people in their natural environment doing really outrageous things, sex club and all the rest of it, and everything going along just fine. And I don't want to give too much away about how the gas works and all the rest of it, but it's fairly instantaneous. And then so the reactions between just sitting here and then all of a sudden finding your hair on fire and then your skin starting to crackle and your eyes popping and all that kind of stuff is so quick. It's this because this stuff burns. It's so intense. It reaches these enormous
4,000
temperatures.
degrees, right?
Yeah, like really, really quickly. So, of course, the results are pretty instantaneous.
So you slowed it right down. You wrote in slow motion.
Well, no, not well. Slow motion.
Because the way you describe it, it's a lengthy description of what happened.
Oh yeah. So I mean, yes, you could go, okay, well, this happened. Someone lit a match. They all died. But it's not very interesting. So you want to know what's happening to people. So yes, you pick out individual people and you kind of draw a picture as to what their last moments would be like. And I'm stoked, man, that it affected you like that, because when you're writing it, that's what you want to try and do. You want to try and get the reader to actually imagine and feel what it might actually be like to be in that situation where all of a sudden you're normal, you're having fun, and all of a sudden you're just looking down and you're realizing it happens that quickly. You can't even feel the pain. It's like your skin's melting, and it's just a curiosity thing, and then all of a sudden you're gone.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck all of that. After that chapter, I called the missus and was like, I need to talk to this guy on a podcast. Like, instantly. Because I still have so many questions. It was thrilling, exciting, and the way I described cliffhangers probably doesn't give it enough justice. I haven't read someone like you in Perth.
Yeah.
Mind you, Australia.
Okay.
Like, this is some Stephen King type stuff. That's what I equate it to.
Yeah.
Like The Shining. Have you read The Shining?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm seeing here without the demons.
Yeah.
You know, people just inherently have their own demons.
Yeah.
No, the guy sitting in his... What was his name? The guy sitting in the shop?
Oh, Nigel?
Nigel.
Yeah, what an evil fucker.
What an evil fuck.
Yeah. Now, what can I tell you about that without giving too much? That news agents and that whole situation about Sonia and the kids living behind the news agents, that happened.
That's a real thing?
We actually, we lived in Vic Park, and this news agents that we were living behind was on Albany Highway, and then right behind it was this small little rental. And that's where Mum and at that stage it was just me and my brother lived. The character of Nigel, I was only 5 or 6 when we were living there. So as far as I know, that character Nigel didn't exist. Mm-hmm. And what happened to Butler didn't exist, like my older brother. Mm-hmm. But
so you're Stuart in this story, to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, Stuart is kind of based on me. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elements of him for sure.
Right. So how did you get to adding Nigel to the story?
Just
because I'm perplexed at how you can make that happen and then give it smell. Like the way you described Butler's father's recognition of the smell in Sonia's room.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, what? And then he smells it in the deli. I was, oh my God.
Isn't it funny where that comes from? You know, because it was Brute 33.
It was Brute, yeah, green can Brute.
I used to wear Brute when I was a kid. I think it was when I was like 13 or something, and I wanted to be a man.
Yeah.
And I wanted the chicks to dig me, so I bought some Brute 33.
Oh.
You know, and I'm gonna tell you, it worked, man.
Oh, I bet it did. In those days when they didn't have like Gucci.
Yeah, that's right. That was it. Brute was top shelf.
Yeah.
But it was very sickly kind of smelling sort of scent, and he's a very sick individual. So I just thought, and it is one of those things. It's one of those scents that just hangs around for fucking hours, man. It's like a dead dog.
Dad's had a shower.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
yeah. He's put on his Brute 33 or his, Vaseline, his Brill cream through his hair, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted this guy. I just thought that sort of scent would resonate with him because it's also because he's slightly unwashed and he chain smokes those Camels, so it's like he's got this real fugginess around him, and his way of trying to camouflage that is by just chucking on bottles of Brute 33, right. Which when you combine the sickliness of that with the pungent sort of cigarette smell and body odor, it's quite disgusting. But Sonia still sleeps with him.
Yeah, so explain Sonia. She's like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
She is just in it for the game, the love of the game.
Yeah.
From day dot too.
Yeah. I don't know where she came from. I never went out with the Sonia, unfortunately.
Voluptuous breasts.
Yeah, she was
from
quite,
how you describe it.
Yeah, she was quite the sort of Botticelli type sex machine. Yeah, she was one of these women who's, she's certainly built for comfort and not for speed. But she knew how to, use what it was that she had for sure. But I think her sense of her sexuality, her drive, that real. What do I say? It's that nymphomaniac side of her. It started early because once again, I don't want to give away too much, but when she discovered her sexuality that day that her parents went out, and she discovered
the sex
toy, and then she kind of it just went from there. And
the way you described that, I was How do I even put it? I was like, this is hot. Like, and I'm reading a dude's writing about a woman. You know, like it was.
I was really unsure about that because so often you can tell when it's a guy writing about from a woman's perspective.
You didn't give me that perspective.
Well, then I'm pleased about that.
It was very genderless of how it was written, but it described a woman in a very sexy way.
Yeah, cool.
Very
Because
sexy.
you always worry about that, because you're not a woman, you don't experience the same kind of feelings. You don't use a vibrator like she uses a vibrator. It's kind of like, so how? So I don't know. I mean, I just did some research and tried to put it in.
I put some working hours into it. Couple bottles of Vaseline, a cucumber.
You're giving away secrets now, Jacob. So, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
The Italian family.
Yeah, you mean like the whole gangster kind of thing? Yeah. Well, once again, probably in my sort of late teens, early 20s, there was a certain element around town that I came into contact with every now and then. Because back in those days, it was the disco era. So in my sort of, probably started about 18 through to around about 20, I was very much into the nightclub scene, the drug scene, all that sort of stuff. And was mixing with some really interesting people. Mm-hmm. And so, you see things, you hear things, you watch things, all that kind of stuff. And I guess a lot of that stuff stuck with me because I was involved in it for probably 2 or 3 years. So I think that's where that kind of influence came from.
Did you meet anybody who was the club owner in the book?
The club owner in the
little fat man
was Blair.
Blair.
Now he's actually based on the guy who owned the club.
Really?
Yeah, there was a guy. It was a guy. If his name wasn't Blair, but it was very similar to Blair.
Okay. And
that the books that he was reading, it's the book that he used to read. It's funny the things you remember when you're writing these things, and you're delving back into memory or imagination, whatever it might be. I remember him sitting at the little counter as you kind of walked in, mm-hmm. and it was very similar. Like the way I've described it in the book is pretty similar to the way that it was. Yeah. Pretty exact actually. And he would be sitting there, and he would be reading this Wilbur Smith. What was it called? It was When the Lion Roars or something. It's a great Wilbur Smith book. Right. And yeah, I just remember it for some reason. It just kind of stuck in. So I stuck that in the book.
The whole club scene, pretty much the club scene and how it comes to rolling out as it did was so. I can't really even describe it. When you get introduced to the other characters, like the tall male, I can't remember his name, the first one that Sonia hooks up with. And he starts beating her.
Harvey. Yeah, based on a character.
Another character in real life?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is like 100 people that I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which makes the story even more gripping. It gripped me because I was like, oh, I can relate that to another person. Yeah. Maybe that's because, I don't know, you seem like me in 10 years or 20 years or however old you are. But it seemed like it was a book that was written to make me realize that bad shit can happen. Yep. Like at all times.
Yep.
Which is kind of insane. I actually messaged my missus. I went back through the messages, and I was like, this fucking book's got me hooked.
That's
like
cool.
Actually hooked.
Yeah.
So your brother, in the story, well, Butler in the story.
Yeah.
He sends a letter. Right?
Oh, he writes a letter.
He writes it. He leaves a letter.
Leaves a letter, yeah.
About Nigel's whereabouts the night before.
Yeah.
Was that real?
No. You're talking about the club that Nigel went to,
and then something.
I mean,
happened.
they are real. I know that they exist
in Perth.
I doubt that they happen in Perth.
Okay.
I would think not, but I know that they are out there.
Okay.
I know that they do exist. Yeah. So, but the way that I did have an older brother. Mm-hmm. He was a member of a bikie gang, and he did die on his bike, but just not that way.
Okay. Wow. So you used the trauma from losing your brother that way and pushed it into the book in as a different character almost?
Yeah, I don't know. No, it was, I don't know.
Was it traumatic? Let me just ask that.
What, writing that?
Yeah.
No, because this was a long time ago. You know, it was 40 years ago
Right.
that we lost him. And, but I just thought it would be that character Butler is pretty much based on my brother because, you know what happens to him. He's from primary school. He's a fighter. He's an outsider. He gets recruited into the bikie club. All that stuff happened to my older brother. Not from such a young age. His involvement in that came when he was probably a little bit older, like when he got into high school. Right. But he was a fighter. That was one of the things. He was always, either getting into fights or picking fights and stuff like that.
Was it a brotherly joke that you made him gay?
Oh, no, I think that was a bit of retribution because up until I got a little bit bigger than him, he used to basically punch the shit out of me all the time. And it was funny. I remember the day it all turned.
Yeah.
Because my old man, who was my stepfather, he used to work away up north. But unlike today's, sort of FIFO where it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, he'd go away for months at a time.
Right.
So basically it was mum raising us. And him and I were always at loggerheads, but he was always meaner than me. And I remember one day we had this big argument. I was standing in the doorway to the lounge, and we had this argument. Mum's in the kitchen, and he comes up and he throws a haymaker at me, and he clocks me right in the jaw.
Oh, no.
Right? And I'm standing there and I'm going... And I remember saying to him, I said, "Is that all you fucking got?" And it didn't knock me out. It didn't knock my teeth out. And I thought, hang on a second. He's not as tough as I think he is. Or maybe I'm tougher than I thought I was. And the look on his face, the fact I didn't go down, he kind of went, "Oh, yeah, okay." So the dynamic between us actually started to shift from that point on. But needless to say, I mean, he got into a pretty bad crowd, and then as I said, he was coming home from whatever he was doing late one night, took a corner on his bike, only a few k's from home actually, from where we lived, and no one knows what happened, but he didn't make the corner and ended up in a bush. And it was funny because the woman who owned it, they had a big property, so the house was probably set about 100 metres back from the road, so it had a long driveway, and she heard the crash, so she actually got up and she walked halfway down the driveway, and she couldn't see anything because his bike was in a ditch at the end of the driveway and he was underneath the thing, and so she turned around and went back in, and the next morning she gets up, I don't know, take the kids to school, whatever, backing out. There's this dead body at the end of her driveway, and they were saying that he probably didn't die because of his injuries. He probably didn't die straight away. He may have been there for a while. So if she had just walked that extra 20 meters, then she would have found him, and maybe life would have been different. But such is life, yeah. So,
fuck.
Yeah, that was, and because the thing about that really fucking pissed me off is because we'd been at each other's throat, like all through childhood, and then after that sort of incident where he hit me in it, and the dynamic changed, we actually started to get on. And in fact, he got me my first job when I left school, working on a building site together, building the fire station in Perth.
Oh, right.
And so we were working together. We're actually just starting to get on. He actually used to invite me to the Manning Hotel, which is where his bikie club used to meet. That was like the place that they had. Mm-hmm. And I met him, and they seemed like nice blokes, just bikies. Yeah. So it was funny. We were just starting to kind of like get on and click, and then he goes and fucking kills himself. So that sucked. It's
bittersweet.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and his wife was 6 months pregnant at the time, and all sorts of shit. So
Wow.
so there's a lot of him in that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was he your stepbrother? So, blood?
He was my full brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
The reason as to why I ask is because Butler's the stepbrother, right?
yeah. You know what? Oh man, I don't know how long we got.
We've got
As
time.
it turns out, he is my half brother. Because
Please explain.
Please explain. Okay, because Harvey in the book was actually supposed to be my real father. His name was Harvey.
Whoa.
So, Mum and Harvey, they broke up when I was like, a year and a half or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really know him, but Mum told me that he existed when I was around about 13, 14 years of age. And so said, do you want to meet him? He only lived down in Belmont, which is like 6, 7, 8 Ks away from where we lived in Forestfield. So I went to meet him.
This is just like in the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I said, a lot of it is actually based on what happened.
Okay.
So as it turns out, Harvey is definitely my brother's biological father. You could see the resemblance, black hair, sort of beady eyes, aquiline nose, a sort of, definitely. Whereas I was blonde, cherubic sort of faced, nothing like him at all. Mm-hmm. Long story short, it turns out that Mum had a bit of a wandering eye. And I don't know whether it was because apparently they were supposed to have split up because Harvey was an alcoholic and he did like to drink. When the morning we went to meet him, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning and the Emu bitter bottles were already on the breakfast table. Yeah, him and his new partner. So the reason that they broke up was supposed to be because he was an alcoholic. But as it turns out, Mum was actually seeing this other guy called Stan. And Stan's my dad. That's confirmed.
That's confirmed.
That's confirmed.
DNA confirmed?
No, not DNA confirmed. Confirmed as in having spoken to his son, Trevor, who is my other half-brother.
Looks just like you.
Yes, he does look just like me.
Imagine.
And Stan was a player. And apparently his side of the family knew about Mum.
Ah.
This was all happening. So it turns out that Neil, who I thought was my full brother, is not my full brother. Oh. He's my half-brother to Harvey.
Right.
So that's why I put Harvey in the book because he was
It's a wild character.
He's a bit of a wild character.
Yeah. Crazy character. But the way that it's told in the book, obviously, it gets worse and worse. But the potentiality, is that the word? Potentiality for him to be a good character is high. But then it switches within a couple of pages. It's like, oh, he's a fucking woman beater.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's so real. It's so raw, like the way it's written. The creeds. Why is it called the creeds?
I don't know. It's a name. It didn't come from anywhere. It didn't spring from anywhere.
Okay.
I like the name. I like the name. Yeah.
I like the band.
The band? Yeah. Is there a band called the Creeds?
No, just Creed.
Oh, Creed.
Can you take me higher?
It's not the same, Jake.
It's not the same. No way. Yeah. It's a lot darker. Now, where was it in you that gave you the inspiration to go that dark with, say, like the pedophilia?
Well, I suppose because I feel so strongly about that. I hate it. I just think it's the most despicable thing that a human being could ever do is take advantage of, an innocent child.
I agree.
And it just boils my blood that kind of happens. And so I wanted to include it because I wanted to acknowledge that it happens. And I also wanted to see some justice played out against someone like that, which is why what happens to him happens to him.
Right.
Because I think so often that kind of thing happens and justice isn't met. people get away with it, and just the thought of it just boils my fucking blood.
It's
so
sickening.
it is, and so I wanted to put it in there to, I guess, recognize that it happens, but I just felt really good about me being the arbiter of justice by making sure that he got his, hence the end bit.
I didn't think about that position. I thought about the shock factor.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fucking was not ready for that.
Yeah.
Like, you end a couple of paragraphs and you're just like, I turned the book over and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah. It was a pretty devastating way for...
It's not anybody you know that's gone through that kind of stuff?
No. Fortunately, as much as I've experienced in my life, I haven't personally come across anyone, and I personally have not been subjected to that, or no one that I know has been subjected to it.
Okay.
So, but it's it's out there
for sure. Yeah. And I'd said on a podcast, I put up a clip fucking a couple months ago. Did you hear about Germany?
No, what?
They downgraded their regulations on child pornography from a felony to a misdemeanor.
For fuck's sake.
But I had a reporter message me, and shout out to you, whoever the fuck you are. I can't remember his name. I only talked to him a couple of times.
Yeah.
But he said if he looked deeper into the article, and it was to prevent teachers from getting charged from taking phones off of children because they had pictures of other people from bullying.
Right, okay.
But that doesn't stop the twisted fucks from not getting charged. It now downgrades it. So why couldn't they put a bracketing law in place?
To me, that just seems like
another
lazy
fucking-
legislating. Exactly.
Exactly.
There must be a way of being able to say, okay, so if you are in the educational institution and you're doing it for X, Y, and Z, paragraph 3, chapter 2, whatever, excludes you. But if you're some evil cunt, sorry, am I allowed to say that?
Yes. We're on the internet.
Yeah. So if you're some evil cunt whose sole thing is just the gratification of yourself and your friends using children, then you deserve to be fucking castrated, strung, drawn, and quartered. Not a misdemeanor. So to me, obviously they fucked up.
My issue is it's the ones that are only getting caught. Who's to say they're not taking that phone because it's unlocked? You can see that the child pornography's on there. It would just to protect the few, but the people that can get away with it, they'll just send that to themselves or send that to their ring or what. I don't know how it works, but I'm just worried that if that gets translated into other European countries, breaches the West, it comes to Australia. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be another war.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mate, unfortunately, that is one of those scourges on society that has been around since the day dot. I think ever since there's been people drawing breath, there's people doing really filthy shit, and that I think it's just the nature of human beings. We're not perfect. We do crazy, fucking horrible shit to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of that's in the book.
That's why I think the genre is perfect. Psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It's that's what it is. You're fucking with my head while I'm reading it because you're alluring me in with the sex party or it's the sex club, and then the big titted women and the way that you describe it's like amazing, and then boom. You're like this fucking disgusting fat dude trying to touch a kid or lure him in. And you're like, what the fuck?
He's successful
in
what he does, which is the whole part of the whole thing that starts to fuck with Butler's head. And then, of course, when he's at school and he meets the Swedish guy
Who's that?
That was a...
Hans, right?
Hans, yeah. Look, I based him on a guy who moved in. We lived in this little cul-de-sac in Forestfield. And I'm talking going back over 50 years ago now,
right.
50, 55 years ago. And when this guy moved in, and I think they were Norwegian. There was him and his two sisters. So... the two girls, Lena and her sister are based on his sisters, and Farce is based on this other guy. Now, loosely based, because I don't believe this guy who moved in was gay. But some stuff went on with the two sisters. So some of that stuff that's in the book is kind of like happened.
Like the dug a hole type shit.
I'm not telling you. But let's say holes were dug.
Very erotic.
Holes were dug.
In real life?
Yes.
'Cause in the book, they're deep holes.
Yes, they were deep holes, but they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very captivating. That's I like to call it a scene. I'd rather call it a scene than a play, the play of words. It's more of a scene the way you describe it. The way that I think about it, reading, and this is strange to even conceptualize a different part of reading. When I'm reading nonfiction, I rarely think about where it's taking place. I think about the words. I like to consume it. With your book being partly fiction, the way you write it is like a play. It's almost scriptured.
Okay.
I can see the scenes, the way that you describe the air and the humidity, and I'm there. I'm looking at it like a fly on the wall in that scenario. And I think that's probably what's captivating about how you wrote it from first person or third person or however you wrote it in the specific scenes. And you don't get much of that.
Yeah. A lot of that happened in the rewrites. Because I've always been told by successful authors that I know that for a book to have the effect that it's kind of had on yourself, for example, you need to show, not tell, and the best way to do that is to try and by using emotive phrases, things that trigger your senses. So describing the smells. Or something visual. If you use those descriptive words rather than just say it was a beautiful blue day, the sun was shining and everywhere and it was hot, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, But if you can paint a picture, and in writing, for me at least, that's the hard part. So you do your initial writing, you do your initial drafts and all the rest of it, but then there's a process when you start to edit it where what you're looking for is you're not necessarily looking for character development or how this person relates to that person. You're actually going through and you're doing an edit on, okay, can I add some words to that? Can I describe that a little bit better so that you can taste it, you can hear it, you can feel it? That to me is that probably took more time than just about anything else, because you got to go through almost word by word, phrase by phrase, and go, okay, well, how can I make that sentence more captivating? How can I make you experience what it is that I'm saying rather than just read the words? Because I don't know about you, but if I'm reading a book and I find that I'm just almost zoning out, I'm just going from one line to the next, and all of a sudden I've read a chapter and I'm going, what the fuck was that about?
What happened?
Yeah, it's kind of like, then that to me hasn't been written well enough in that it's captivated me and drawn me in, made me want to experience what it was that these characters are seeing and doing. And I'm so pleased that you feel that way, because to me that's the greatest measure of success. I mean, it might not be perfect as far as, I don't know, punctuality or some character development, or maybe the arc drops off a little bit, whatever it might be. But if you can read a chapter and kind of walk away going, that's fucking drained me, I need to fucking lie down, or I'm excited, or like, when's a missus coming home because I really want to root, it's like whatever it might be, but it gets you going, and to me that's a success, because to me that's what a reading experience should be about.
I agree 100%. There are no drop-offs to the arc, just to let you know. It's the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Fuck.
Yeah, it is pretty insane. And the way I don't fucking know. It's amazing. Like I just fucking read it, people. It's actually crazy.
I'm glad you dig it, man. I really am. It's like I said, it was a long time in the gestation of it, a long time in the development of it, and the prosecuting of it. And at the end of the day, it's like, if I get one person who it touches or it affects in some kind of way, I'm fucking happy about that. But
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. But you know what? As good as the book is, tell me what your thoughts are. But I reckon, mate, that's a fucking Netflix series.
That's a Netflix series.
Yeah, just one of those short ones.
Yes, 100%.
I would.
6 episodes.
6 episodes, I reckon. I reckon you'd get through all this, but there's so much. There's so many different stories. I mean, we haven't even spoken about Billy, Billy is Billy's wife was the one who dies giving birth to Butler.
Oh,
remember the
insurance
fucker. There's so fucking much. Yeah, the insurance fucker, and his, there's that whole story there about the anaesthetist who is called back in.
Oh, yeah,
because
that is the fucking most wildest thing. He dropped that fucking thing and then stuck it in her arm anyway.
Yeah, stuck it in her arm. I mean, he was pissed because
he was drunk.
He was out celebrating his 20th wedding anniversary, but he had his pager on him, and the anaesthetist who's supposed to be there to take care of her while she's going into labour can't make it. He gets buzzed. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, darling, blah, blah, blah." Goes into the hospital. He's completely fucked. And one of the nurses even says something, but she's shut down by one of the other doctors. It goes, "This is a senior fucking anaesthetist. Mind your fucking place." But, of course, what he does...
It's an epidural, right?
Yeah. So it causes her to get an infection. Of course, then she consequently gives birth and then...
Dies. That's fucked. Because my missus went through that, and I completely forgot about that scene. That just made me relive my whole experience giving birth to my son Tate.
Yeah,
I didn't give birth to him, but
yeah, you were there. It's just as good.
She actually had a kind of similar to the story, which is fucking wild. She had a tear in the placenta.
Yeah. Oh.
So she had an emergency C-section.
Right.
Which was an enforced epidural, just like.
Yeah.
What is life?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, I'm glad it went.
Forgot about that.
It's terrifying.
No, I forgot about that part of the story.
So there's that whole thing, and of course his whole experience where he gets involved in the club, and he gets involved. That's how his segue into
meeting
the underground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when he's
what's the I don't want to give away any fucking secrets.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. The guy that's running the show in the underground.
Yes.
What's his name?
His name is Falzone.
Falzone.
Yeah.
And he's got his henchman.
Yeah, who's Connie. Connie.
Is that a real person?
Yeah. He's based on a guy who I came across in the early days who was very fucking shady. Was always in the background whenever we were around these people. He was always just
watching
in the background. I don't think I ever heard him talk, but he was just there, and he would just come and go, and it just always stuck with me. And he did have these really piercing eyes. I think they're blue though, not black. And so that character is actually based on him and what I thought it is that he might do. Sort of person that he might be. So
I love how he finishes.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Fuck. That as a Netflix series, the squealing.
Yeah. Oh, don't give too much away on that one.
I'm not going to. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Well, he was such a nasty piece of work. So I wanted his demise to be
horrific.
Yeah. Commensurate with the sort of stuff that he'd done to other people.
Yes.
Because he quite enjoyed his work, I think.
Yeah, definitely. By how it's written. And his origin story too.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yep.
Because, you know, like, the way that you described it is like, this guy's a fucking psycho and he does not care.
Yeah.
Like the boy in the woods.
Yes.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That was just, it was quite gleeful.
How is that on your fucking mind? How did you write that? That is like, holy fuck. It almost takes a psycho to write about a psycho. You know what I'm saying?
Well, mate, I got to tell you.
Pull that mic in if you lean back.
Sorry, buddy.
You can move it around too.
No, this is cool.
Okay.
With my ex-wife, when I wrote that, and I got her to read the manuscript before I got it done, it's probably one of the reasons why we're not together anymore. She actually accused me of being a pedophile.
I'm sorry.
No, exactly, because she read it
so
and she
fucked
went.
up.
She read it and she went, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? How
she
could
not
you
understand
write about this
art?
sort of stuff?" And I said, "The thing is, she's in a book club, right, with these other women
reading
for like
Oprah.
20 years. But I'm sure she's read all manner of stuff." And I tried to have the argument with her that, well, I'm surely you've read about people who, you know, like murder other people. That doesn't mean that the author has actually
Shades
gone
of
out.
Grey.
Yeah, exactly. It's just called imagination. It's just called writing. But she couldn't get her head past the fact that for me to write it, I suppose because maybe she was affected by the writing, which once again is a great thing. You know, it touched her, but it just kind of like flicked a switch or something.
So she had the same thought that I had, which was, are you a psycho?
Yeah.
But that's cool because everyone thinks Stephen King's a psycho.
Probably
But
is,
how the fuck do you write that many novels? Cujo? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know? So it's a good thing.
When you're Stephen King, then it becomes a formula.
Cocaine and cigarettes.
Cocaine and cigarettes, yeah. And just like it's a template. You know, you bash them out. But yeah, I think, where does it come from? It's just, you know what it is, I think, Jacob? It's allowing yourself to just take the filters off. It's allowing you to just, whatever you think about, just put it down. Because this is the thing, when you've heard about wild writing.
Of course.
Yeah, okay. So when you first start to write, whether it's a play or a short story, whatever it is that you write, you wild write, which is where you don't filter what comes in. You just pen to paper and you just fucking write. And you write. And that's what I did the first time, which is why I ended up with 160,000 words because I wasn't thinking about it. I was just hoping that it was all going to, you know, in the edit, you'd make things work. And so that's what you do. So
that's how we got Scientology, by the way.
Did we?
L. Ron Hubbard just didn't make a second draft. He's just fucking wild writing the whole thing.
Yep. Probably didn't edit it. That's probably what we've
and
got
they don't
with
pay
Scientologists.
taxes, bitch.
Yeah.
You know what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I like the idea of not paying taxes.
The creeds as a religion.
Yes.
Oh, no,
Could
please
be.
no.
I get a tax deduction for that. Then.
Yeah. Well, Catholicism has pedophilia.
That's right. Let's not go. That's another book.
That's another book.
In fact, I'm pretty sure it's been written.
Yeah. 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And rewritten since. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's right. Now I've got no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Wild writing.
Yeah, so just wild writing. So yeah, so where does it come from? It's just a matter of just giving yourself permission to just write anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. Just write it down, and then you can determine later what do you want to keep in, what do you want to take out.
Was it a decision to go psychological thriller before you were wild writing, or was it after the conception of wild writing that you were like, this could be a psychological thriller?
No, I think it was always going to go that way. It was never going to be, the Creed's the comedy, or the musical.
It could be a musical.
Just see Connie tap dancing his way through Nangara Forest with a shovel. Yeah.
Was that Nangara?
It was actually.
Holy
yes.
shit. I
yes.
live right next to that.
That's
fucking crazy.
That's where that happened.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Was that a real story?
Mate, how many bodies?
It's definitely
you couldn't count how many bodies are buried out that way. Yeah. So yes, that it's not a real story, but it's certainly everyone knows that's been a dumping ground for years. Probably not for quite some time, but certainly in the past.
Yeah, since niche living put their shitty
that's
stories
right.
on
Yeah,
there.
since they started building houses on it.
Not building, just taking money.
Yeah.
Bastards.
So yeah.
That's cool. Connie fucked me up.
Yeah, Connie was a dude, man. It was I wanted him that, like, any time he walked into the room, I wanted kind of like people to bristle a little bit because he's very unpredictable. And he's very volatile, and he just has this air of impending doom, violence about him.
You made it seem like he entered a room with instruction at all times, but you weren't sure what his instructions were. Like the way he enters into the naturalist club after they found out about the coke. Well, spoiler alert. Yep. About the coke being sold, and they wanted the details.
Yep.
It's like he had been told by Falzone to do something, but you weren't sure what was going to happen until he got in there.
Yeah, that's right. And the way that he kind of played that too.
Do you want more wine, by the way?
Might have a tipple.
A tipple?
Don't mind a good Shiraz.
Actually, you pour it yourself because I always overpour, and then people are like,
"No, that's fine, mate. It just." In the glass?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Not the schnoz.
All right, no, let's. You could help yourself, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Go there. So that part where when he walked into the club, he walks in with such a confidence, and he knows that he's the ultimate standover man in that he doesn't actually have to do much standing over because of his presence, his aura, his reputation. Everyone knows what this guy is capable of. Everyone knows what he can do. So when he just comes in and says to Blair, "Who's your coke dealer?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, can't tell you," type thing. He doesn't press it because he goes, "It's just a matter of, well,
you will tell.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to ask again." And Blair hesitantly says what he says, and then he just turns tail and walks out. And that's more terrifying for this guy because he's going, "What the fuck is going to happen now?"
Yeah.
And then we know what happens later. But so he's got this kind of this air of invincibility, arrogance, terror about him.
Yeah. Was it psychological thriller in that the people inside of the book is psychologically thrilling, or is it imposing that on the reader? Because at every moment that Connie takes an action inside of the book, even Falzone at some points, it's there being psychologically thrilling with their decisions.
So you're asking me what makes it a psychological thriller?
No. Is it more pushed the audience, so the person reading the book, are they thinking it's a psychological thriller, or is it the people inside? I know it's the genre of the book. Don't get me wrong. I'm an idiot, but not on this point.
No, you're not.
Are the people inside of it, that are living the scene, are you trying to make them the psychological thrilling part of the scene, or the whole scene in your mind when you're writing it?
I don't think I'm thinking about that.
I have it in you. What the fuck, you psycho?
Yeah, I'm just writing it in such a way that I think would be compelling, and then once I start to write a particular scene, I'm kind of immersed in it. So it's like I'm a fly on the wall, and I'm watching this kind of happening, and I'm writing it down as I'm seeing it happening. Does that
make sense?
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean the people that are being these actions are being perpetrated upon. I want them to be feeling psychologically traumatized by someone's actions, whether it's Harvey beating Sonia up and then beating her again when she's pregnant.
Yeah, that was
and
fucked
then
up.
Raping her for good measure.
It was kind of hot.
Yeah.
But it was fucked up. That's why that got me.
It was, yeah.
It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why are you writing it in that way?
Yeah.
But I was also like captivated.
Yeah.
Which is fucking real cool.
I mean, the thing is because Sonia.
It's like 50 Shades of Grey for dudes.
But for sick fucks.
I'm not thinking like, I'm going to go jerk off to this. But, it's like it's the preemptive line between sick fucks and probably just the normal sexualization.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Sonia is that she just happens to be this woman who just and they're out there. She's an nymphomaniac. She loves sex in any way, shape, or form.
We all know them.
Yeah, and this is the thing: when Harvey rapes her, it's like. Yeah, I say he's raping her because he hasn't asked for her permission, and she hasn't kind of said that she wants to.
She was kind of into it.
But she was kind of into it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, every time she's raped or sexually abused, inverted commas, it's kind of like she doesn't mind because she's into it. Mm-hmm. And she kind of resigns herself the fact to it, and then she goes with the flow, has her orgasms, and then she's kind of like, oh, okay, because that's just the sort of person that she was. Doesn't make his actions right.
Yeah. Was there a threesome with the neighbors?
Oh, no, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Damn.
Would have liked to have seen that as a fucking 12-year-old boy up a lemon tree. That's for sure. No, but I just
out for a threesome, watching your mum fuck the neighbours.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
But in his defence, he didn't know it was his mum because you didn't.
Yeah, you never said it in the book.
No, because he never saw. There were these,
he
the
saw
doors.
Her titties, right? Oh no,
the
shadow.
He saw
the neighbours.
The neighbours' titties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he knew that there was another woman.
But he knew there's another woman.
Yes.
And so he saw all that sort of stuff going on. But there was just a door closing at the right time, and the sliding door with the wardrobe door with the mirrors on it opened at the right time, so he saw bits.
Yeah, yeah.
But never enough for him to go, oh, that's my mum in there shagging the neighbours. But we didn't know that until later.
Okay.
And then of course, as Stuart develops, he actually develops a relationship with the next door neighbour himself.
Yeah, he starts shagging her, right?
Yeah,
or
he does.
I don't think he shags.
No,
her. He does. I've got to read that part again. Oh, he does too.
He does.
Yeah, and then the husband comes home, right?
Yeah, the husband gets an idea, an inkling of it. But,
and then he winks at him. Or
something like that. So it's enough for Stuart to go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, because this guy's, he's built.
Yeah,
and
jacked fuck.
Yeah. So
the laneway.
Yeah, that the laneway existed.
That's a real thing.
Yep. That whole kind of setup. We were in the house next to the Tillies, whose real name was pretty close to that. So our house was next to that, and then next to them was the laneway. And that laneway was, when we were growing up as kids, was scary as shit.
Because you gave it a name.
Finnegan's.
Yeah. That's right.
And I called it Finnegan's because of what happened to the guy, the old Vietnam vet, who did himself in on the clothesline.
Right. And that was the real story.
No.
I was thinking that's definitely got to be a real story because it was... so raw.
Yep.
Oh, fucking not bad, Craig. Not bad.
Thanks, mate.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah. But that alleyway, that was kind of like...
Was there a lot of fights in that alleyway?
There were a couple of fights in that alleyway. Yeah. That's the alleyway that big fight happened.
Yeah. Goo?
A couple of times,
Yeah. That's where it got hot and heavy for Butler.
Got hot and heavy for Butler and Fars, and that was a bit of a... aha kind of moment.
Yeah,
both of them. But then, of course, the big fight with the other kind of like gang members, I suppose.
Was it Pig's brother?
Yeah, Pig's brother. Yeah.
What was his name again?
His name was...
Fuck, I can't remember. It's not Butch. It's... Yeah, there was no...
But all of those characters based on people that I knew.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it go down like that in the school, like the hierarchy through fighting?
Well, it was certainly. I mean, this was fucking Forestfield 50. No, how am I? 65. So it's like...
You're 65?
I'm 65, yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm getting a seniors card, man. How about that?
You do not look 65 though, dude.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. I don't feel 65, but, there you go.
I'm less than half your age.
Yeah.
I look fucking 45. What the fuck is going on?
I wouldn't have said a day over 40.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's the baby.
It's the
suck of my youth.
It'll get worse. Yeah. But
I'm losing my hair since I had the baby. I'm starting to take it back.
Are you really?
Might need to go bald soon.
Yeah, well, do it, man. Yeah, you got a good head for bald.
I think
you'd
so.
rock bald.
I think so.
Yeah.
I bought a cowboy hat.
Oh, mate, there you go. And look, you got the beard, bald.
I just trimmed
Rocking.
my beard. It was literally like down here.
Oh, really?
I was going for the sage look for Halloween, and then I just couldn't take it anymore. I was getting itchy, and I was like, "Fuck this."
Nah.
So I think I'm just gonna rock the Halloween cowboy hat, cowboy outfit.
Gonna do that? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then shave that shit off.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, I mean, you can do it now. If you don't like it, it'll grow back mostly.
Fuck off.
Hopefully.
I just get a big fuck off.
It's a chance
spot
you take, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it'll grow back, but I'm just wondering if it'll go back completely.
No, probably not. It'll probably go back in like little tufts.
Yeah.
But
I
that could be a look.
saw a lawn that was cut up like. Have you ever seen Fun with Dick and Jane where he's like, I got the lawn back?
Yeah.
I saw that in like Ocean Reef the other day. I pissed myself laughing and I took a photo of it.
Yeah.
So stupid. Some guy's just got a bunch of different lawn patches. Like he's just been raided.
Yeah.
We talked the lawn. Yeah, terrible.
Good movie.
What are we talking about?
So that whole fight thing and thing, yeah. So those guys, they were based on guys that I knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you foresee a second novel?
Fuck, if I could find those other 60,000 words.
Fuck those 60,000 words.
Yeah. But
have you read it? Have you read the novel since?
What,
writing?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And you know why? It's a whole other story. I entrusted this guy to do my edit on it and paid him a bunch of money for it. Went ahead, done, got it printed. And like a dickhead, I didn't go and reread it after he had done it because he was supposed to be this professional and all the rest of it. And I guess because I just had enough. Sent it off, got it printed. And it wasn't until, people had started buying it, friends and that, and they were saying, oh, look, I love it. But fuck, man, there's so many errors in it. Like punctuation errors and spelling errors and stuff like that. I went, what?
Yeah.
So anyway, I picked it up and I read it again, and fuck me, there were hundreds. This guy fucking raped me.
A lot of extra this.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
The THE.
So you've got one of the old copies, I think. So did you notice there were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, it happens in fucking good books as well.
Yeah, but I couldn't stand it. So I actually, probably a few months ago, obviously after I gave you your copy, I've gone through and redone the whole thing. So I've gone through and I've corrected, hopefully, fucking 90% of those mistakes. Okay. So I have, in the last few months or so, reread it and got it. So anything that people order now is
printed correctly.
Okay,
cool.
So my apologies for the
Fuck your apologies. It's fucking awesome. It's really. I have a physical copy of a great story.
Thanks, dude.
That's what matters.
Yeah, that's great. Thank
100%. When I've been given a couple of books, not all are great.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
I've talked to. I'm not going to name names. I won't. I was going to.
No, don't. No.
But there was another author from WA. I'm not even going to be specific with the area. Who gave me a book and was like, "Tell me what you think." And then I read it, and I got like maybe 2 chapters in, and I was like, I don't know how to tell this guy. It sucks. Like I really did not know how to tell him.
Yeah.
So I just kind of said thank you and
just deleted him from your social media and don't talk to him anymore.
It was a block. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck do I do? Like.
Yeah.
And if you read him, you're gonna know who it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of like, hey, this is good, this is bad.
Yeah.
But it's until you actually read it and you get consumed by it, then you're like, oh, I see this stuff that's standing out now. It's the same with music. I have so many like rappers and stuff that come on the podcast. Well, I did in the early days, and now I'm pretty selective with it. I was kind of in the early days, I was just like, give me anyone. I need to grow this, right? If you've got 400 people that are going to listen to you, I want them to listen to me, right? But then I was like, I don't jive with your shit at all. Why are we talking?
Yeah.
I don't like you as a person.
Yeah.
There was this one instance that I had a recording session, not like this, but like a musical recording session with a rapper. He brought a friend with him. This other dude took Xanax or some kind of opioid and was like, hey, I'm going to the bathroom. And I was like, cool. Why are you telling me that? But anyway, he went to the bathroom and OD'd, standing up, went straight forward and hit his head on the side of the toilet.
Okay.
Ambulance.
Yeah.
Police. And we were like smoking, well, this is fucking 5 years ago, but we were smoking weed. And then eventually he was like, hey, dude, fucking, you want to do a podcast? Like, fuck you,
what,
bro.
From hospital?
Yeah, like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? That's not happening ever. Like,
yeah.
But you have to do the interviews, you have to read the books, you have to make the music to find out what you don't like.
Mate, absolutely. You know, you've got to start, you got to build. You know, it was fuck me. I was reading something today. You know, talking about the amount of times or the amount of hours required for people to get to where they want to be, and they were talking about how the Beatles performed 10,000 hours or something in these Hamburg clubs before they became the Beatles. Yeah, everyone's got to do their dues. You know, it's like, I mean, it took me 11 years to write that, but I've written a shitload of stories and stuff before that. So it's not the very first thing I've ever kind of written. And look, you know, you're talking about these other guys girls, whoever they are, who have written these other books that maybe not perhaps, you know, you didn't enjoy it as much as you enjoyed mine. But you know what? I mean, I've got to say,
they've been writing for like 10 years, by the way.
Yeah.
Before you say some nice shit, fuck those guys.
All right. Fuck them. My book's the best.
Well, it's definitely the best I've read in Perth.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of Perth for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Australia too.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Where's Kylie Chan from? Is she Australian?
I don't know. I thought she was UK.
She could
based
be the
in
UK.
Australia. I'm not sure.
Anyway, shout out Kylie Chan.
Yeah.
I read The White Tiger.
Yeah.
You ever read any of Kylie's work? She's pretty good. Not bad. Very fiction-y type stories that kind of lead you down a hole type thing.
Yeah.
And this is not saying anything bad about her book. Your book's better.
Yeah.
It just gripped me more.
Yeah.
And
cool,
I think maybe it's because of the story from when we met and we were signing the lease for this place, that you were like, this is kind of fiction, but kind of not, if you know what I'm saying. And I was like, oh, I gotta fucking read this book now.
Yeah.
Because it's a psychological thriller, and you told me it's partly about your life. What?
Yeah. No, I think it'd be fair to say it's, like I said in the beginning, it's probably 60-70%, I suppose. Yeah. But, you know, I sometimes think that, you know, sometimes it's a little bit like, I think, you know, the best acting performances, I think, come from when you can find a little bit of yourself in the character that you're performing. And I think it's for me, at least, just for me, I think it's the same with the writing. I think if you can somehow find a little bit of yourself in the story, in the character, whether it's you either personally or someone you know, I think that helps bring it to life a little bit more. You know? Good point.
Yeah, because there's more essence of life in it. There's more essence of yourself. It's not like there's not another filter that you're passing through. You could kind of just be a little bit more you. Yeah. I like it.
Cool.
So, have you talked to anybody about making it into a series?
No, I haven't, but do
you want to?
I would love to. I just think that it would make an awesome short series. And like we were talking about before we started the podcast.
I know a perfect actress that would play Sonia.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Bonnie Wheeler.
Yeah, okay.
She's fucking awesome. She's been on Stan and those kind of streaming channels.
Yeah. I mean,
I've had her on the podcast. She's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
From Perth.
I would be wanting some good people for this.
Another guy, Blake Richardson. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I know Blake.
You know Blake?
Yes, I've done something with Blake.
What have you done?
I can't remember what it was.
He was on the ABC. He's done...
He used to work... He was here in Perth, wasn't he?
He's still here.
Is he still here?
Yeah,
because the last time I saw him, he was doing a bit of baristering at cafe in Scarborough.
Okay. Yeah.
Was that him?
Yeah.
He's a young guy.
Young guy.
Yeah.
He's comedian as well.
Yeah, so we did something. This is years ago because I've been acting for about 10 years now. But when I first started, and then I thought did he go to Sydney for a little bit and then come back?
I think so. And then he went to LA for a bit as well.
Yep.
But he runs a podcast called Kings and Vagabonds.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know if it's still pumping at the moment, but they were doing good work. I had him on the podcast. I think he was number, I dare say, like 92, 93, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
But we're going to have him on again. I've only, over the last maybe 30 episodes, upgraded the cameras. And that's kind of when social media took off.
Yeah.
When you can't see someone too good, people can't tell who's talking, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have him on again. But I was thinking about who's myself, away from you saying that you were thinking about a series. I was thinking, who do I know that could play these characters? And I was thinking Blake, because he's jacked now.
Yeah,
he's jacked.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Harvey, but he's a bit short for Harvey. So who could?
No, Harvey needs to be a tall, gangly guy.
Gangly, but kind of chiseled, right?
Well,
with a long dick.
He needs to have a big dick, but I mean, look, depending on what rating we're going for, the dick might not get a showing.
Porno.
But look, prosthetics. We can fix that in post.
Of course.
So, look, I don't know. I mean, look, I would like to probably do the role of Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do Billy.
For yourself?
Yep.
Okay.
And
by the way, just a quick question on Billy.
Yep.
Did he really kill the Aboriginal lady? Was that a real thing? Is that a real thing, or
I don't want to. There's some things I think I'm just not gonna.
Okay, plead the fifth.
Yeah,
plead the fifth. That scene, that happens so often. That does.
Well, I mean, look up there, up in the it's lawless basically up there. It's the further up and further out you go, it's there's just no one around. We watched Wolf Creek last night.
Fuck that movie.
What a fucking amazing movie. And that I forgot that it was actually based on a true story. Yeah. That actually happened. Like 30,000 people a year apparently go missing.
Just in WA, right?
Well, it didn't say.
Pretty sure.
It can't be just WA. Fuck. 30,000?
Not a year.
A year. This was per year, so it must be Australia-wide. Most of them get found. I think they said something like about 91% of them or something get found. But that's still a shitload of people who don't get found.
Yeah. There's a lot of axe murderers out there, Craig.
Yeah, there are. So anyway, yes, a lot of shit happens. So that's all I'm going to say about that one.
You said Billy was... you wanted to play him. Would that be playing your father?
No, Billy is kind of... I think there's a bit of me in Billy.
Right.
It's not based on me.
But you now or you when you were younger?
Me when I was younger.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a bit of Billy in me.
Fondness for black women.
Fondness for black... No, just... That just
I'm
happened.
just joking, people.
That just happened to turn out. You have to read the book to find out what that reference is to. But I mean, it's, effectively, he's a nice guy. He gets wound up in some stuff that's way out of his league, and when he starts dipping his toe in that, he does it with good intentions. He thinks, I'm just going to dip my toe in here to earn some money so I can do this and blah, 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 without realizing that once you dip your toe in that pond, there's no fucking taking it out. And the pond then takes your foot, takes your leg, takes the whole you. And he doesn't realize this until he's in too deep. And he doesn't know what to do. And then, consequently, what happens.
Yes. It's a very cool breakdown at the end. It is very, very...
Yeah.
Because you're following it all the way through. You notice all the characters and who touches who by the end. And the way that it's looped back around, you don't see it coming. Like, I did... Because you don't hear that name.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the way that it finishes certainly leaves itself open. I mean, that whole relationship then with Stuart and Tony, without saying anything more about him, at the end leaves that open to, well, fuck, where does that go? I mean, Stuart's kind of set up because of, what's happened to everyone else, and he's left with, enough to sort of, start himself afresh.
Yes.
But he's now literally in the center of this other world. And whether that other world consumes him.
That's what I was thinking.
Whether Tony does that or whether he pushes him away from it because he doesn't want him to be involved in that side of the business. There's a whole bunch of stuff that could go in there. So
it kind of seems like it'd be like a secure way to get in though, right? Like you'd have the security until, say, if Tony passed or something. And then you'd be like, oh, now I've got to run this shit?
I don't think there's any fucking security in that world. No, I think that's you've all heard of, doesn't matter how high up you are in that underground sort of world. I mean, in fact, the higher you go, the bigger a target I think you put on your back. So I don't think you'd ever be safe and secure. And that's a big black hole that you're going down. And once again, it's that same sort of thing. It's the same sort of thing that Billy experienced when he dipped his toe into it. And yes, he dipped his toe into that pond from the outside, and Stuart is fully immersed in it because of his relationship with Tony. But once again, once you're in, you're in. There's no going into that world and then deciding, oh, no, I had enough of that now. I'm going to go and fucking sell cars, or I'm going to go open a restaurant. Yeah, no. Once you're in because you know things, you know people, you know events, you know things, skeletons. It's kind of like you don't just get out of that.
I think there is some avenues these days. If we're talking about reality, like one of my friends, Matt Floyd. Have you ever heard of Matt Floyd?
No.
Matt Floyd is the Australasian champion boxer. Had him on the podcast before. Had a fantastic conversation about how he was the president of a motorcycle gang, and now the cops are trying to get him for drugs that he never had and all that kind of stuff. While he's doing that, or that's happening to him, he's also becoming a world champion boxer, which is like, what the fuck is happening there? He said to me on the podcast, his favorite thing to do as a hobby was Pokemon cards, 1. 2 is luring pedophiles and smashing the fuck out of them. The guy's a hero.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he got out of like the motorcycle gang world years ago, but they're still trying to get him for certain things.
Yeah.
Like point fingers and all that kind of stuff. But I believe him. Like the way that he talks about it, he's like open and honest about everything that happened in it, and there is ways to get out of it, like he explains on the podcast. But it's just fucking intense.
Yeah.
But I think if you're talking about the book, there is no way to get out of it. Well, if Stuart decides to go into that, he's now the proprietor of. Yeah,
because we're not talking about going into a motorcycle gang.
No, you're going.
We're talking
into
about
the family.
going into the family business. That's a whole other thing. That's motorcycle gangs. Yes, I know. Like the big gangs, Comancheros, the Hells Angels. That they've got international arms, and it's an international business. But that's on. I always think that's on one kind of level. And in fact, it's the motorcycle gangs that work for Tony. Yeah, they're his enforcers. They're his distributors. So
it's the people you don't know that you need to worry about.
And motorcycle gangs are obvious. They're out there. They wear their colours. They drive Harleys. They're big tattooed motherfuckers. And you see, but these other people, the people with the real power, they're the unassuming ones who wear business suits. And carry a 38 in their back pocket.
That's
and
true.
A garrote. And they're the ones. It's the quiet ones. It's the ones you don't know. They're the real trouble. And I think once you ingratiate yourself, once you get into that family, that's much harder to get out of than
death.
A motorcycle gang.
It's the only way, right? Death.
Yeah, well, I mean, you carry a lot, and the further in you go, once again, I said the bigger the target, I suppose, on your back. So
Was that written from knowledge of like Italian families in like New York, like the Gotti family and stuff?
Look, apart from the little bit that I experienced when I was younger,
You knew of families like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and outside of that, it's all the things that we all know from movies and Hollywood and reading books and,
The Godfather.
looking at things, how these things work.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
There's some things.
Or thrilling.
Or thrilling, psychological thrilling, like the Creeds. You can get your copy now at where?
Amazon.
Amazon.
It's all on Amazon.
Beautiful.
Yep. Go to Amazon Books. Craig Van Waardenburg. I think if you put
Is
the
it
Creeds, it's Dutch Indonesian.
Indonesian?
Yeah, go figure. Hey, yeah, my dad's.
Don't
Once
look
again,
Asian.
this is
I'm
all
just saying.
this is all stepfather related stuff, right? Because
okay.
my birth name was originally Harvey, Craig Harvey. Fucking boring. Okay, and
Kind
then
of cool though. Craig Harvey.
No, I like Craig Van Waardenburg.
That's nice.
The English translation of it is Lord of the Hill. That's even cooler.
That's
Craig,
even cooler.
Lord of the fucking Hill.
Lord of the Hill.
Yeah, so I'm digging that.
I like that.
So if you put that in, the Creeds, Craig Van Waardenburg, it'll pop up.
Awesome. Blood, Betrayal, and Unbridled Lust. It definitely gives you that. Look at you, sexy man. on the
Yeah,
back.
that's me on the back there.
It's very Jordan Peterson-like, right?
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? Yeah. I don't mind Jordan Peterson.
Oh, I love Jordan
Yeah, he's a
Peterson.
dude.
Craig,
Thanks, dude.
This
It's
has
been an
been
absolute
awesome.
pleasure.
Yeah. Hope you weren't shitting yourself too much.
No, it's been good, mate. The red's been nice too. Got to say, don't mind a good Shiraz.
Yes.
And thanks, dude. It's been great. I'm really glad that you dug the book. That means a lot to me.
Oh, how's the response been from other people?
But yeah, no, good.
Good?
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Everyone that I know of that's read it
Mm-hmm.
has enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah. What?
I wanted to do this podcast so I could push it to other people. Maybe it's a little selfish of me to want to do that, but
Yeah, what a selfish prick you are pushing my book.
I love
What's
the book.
wrong with you?
I love the book. I'm sorry. I fucking love the book. Buy the book. I'm going to put a link up on the description if you want the book.
Thanks, dude.
And if you don't buy the book, I'm going to send Tony out on you.
Yeah, we know where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the internet like everybody else.
No,
Thank
that's
you, Craig.
great. Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
Cheers, man.
Take me home.